Sound the trumpets, release the doves. It's March Madness time, baby. Woo! We'll start with the men's bracket.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm going to take you all behind the curtain a bit here as we look at this beautiful bracket for our viewing audience, for our listening audience. You know what it looks like. You filled them out your entire life. Now, I'll take you behind the curtain. This morning I get in, say good morning to the walking, talking, triple-double, Ante Campbell. We sit down to discuss the show. First question out of his mouth, not how you slept last night, not how's your day going. No. He said, hey, did you fill out your bracket like with a pen and paper? And I said, yeah, I've been doing that since the beginning of time. And he laughed like he is now. Toe, take this shot. Look at Ante laughing at me for filling out a bracket. What am I missing? Is everything electronic now? Am I behind the times for handwriting my bracket? Is that a problem?
Yeah,
Okay.
Come to the new age. I filled mine out online and then I printed it out like a normal
It's much
human
faster
being.
your way.
It's 2025. Yeah, I ain't gotta write no names. I just click, dog. Come on, man.
And
You
you've seen
wasted
my
time.
handwriting too, Tay. I can't even read some of these.
I can't lie. The printout I got is grayed out, so I'm looking at it like you, like an old man. I'm got my Popeye eye out, looking at this dang bracket. But
let's get our trifocals on and look
All
at
right.
these brackets here. I guess before we even get to our Final Four and Cinderellas,
Yeah.
what jumped out to you on Selection Sunday? You know, the brackets come out, they're fresh. You
Yeah.
see the one seeds, you see all these teams, the matchups. What sort of jumped out to you before we go deep dive?
Yeah, I mean, what jumped out to me is the same thing that jumped out to everybody.
Yeah.
How did North Carolina get into this tournament?
I know.
You know, how on the men's side, how did they do it? And you sit there and
Yeah.
you say, oh, well, the AD of North Carolina is hosting, you know, all the people who are making these decisions.
He's on the committee.
And he's on the committee, and he's saying that he's not, you know, talking to anybody or persuading anybody. That's malarkey. We know how this goes. If I'm with Travis Thomas, and I can tell you right now, he has an opportunity to give me a leg up, he going to give me a leg up, dog.
That's a fact.
And that committee was going to get North Carolina some money in their pockets.
Right.
You know this is about money, dog.
Always.
So, you know, shout out to North Carolina. They're in the tournament,
Yep.
but it sucks for Indiana.
Yep.
It sucks for West Virginia, and it sucks for Ohio State. But these three teams, you know, they didn't do what they needed to do in their own conference tournaments.
Facts.
Indiana, if you go win a game. Ohio State, if you go win a game. You
Right.
have that opportunity to really, really fight. And I see West Virginia's taking legal action and all that other stuff, and they should. But at the end of the day, North Carolina is here. I was also a little shocked by Texas, but them going and winning 2 games in their conference tournament for
Yeah.
the SEC put them in. So congrats to them. They went and won a game against Texas A&M that no one thought they could win. And they went and came back and won in overtime and won.
Right.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you what jumped out to me. It's funny, the athlete on the show goes to who was snubbed, who barely got in, who didn't, sort of that competitive nature in you.
Yeah.
Where the guy, the loudmouth, the media member of the show here, looked at all the one seeds. And honestly, I'm someone who picks apart one seeds.
Yep.
Every year I'm like, okay, this is the strongest, this is the weakest. I don't trust them, I don't trust. Honestly, I'm looking at my bracket right now, Tay.
Yeah.
I can read my handwriting here. I trust all these one seeds. Auburn, I trust. Florida, I trust. Either one of those teams could win the whole shebang-a-bang. I actually have them playing in the Final Four against each other.
Yeah.
Houston can win this whole thing.
They could.
Duke, Duke is capable of winning this whole thing, but it's simply because of how great I think Cooper Flagg is.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about his ankle. Not that he's not going to play, not that he's not tough, not that he can't even possibly play himself healthy. We've seen that happen too in these tournaments. Sometimes these great players are hobbled to start. If their team can sort of tread water, get them to that second weekend, there are breaks here.
Yeah.
But you have to get to the Sweet 16 to get a break. You feel me? So sometimes some of these great players can play themselves healthy. We'll see if that happens with Cooper Flagg. I'm a little concerned about that early on. I want to see how Duke looks early in this tournament. If they don't get bounced because his health is iffy, I think Duke can win this whole thing. I like the one seeds. I think trust factor, Auburn and Florida I trust the most.
Okay.
Even though Houston has been knocking on a championship door, Ante, for years now.
They have.
And it's usually, and you could speak more to this than I can, but it's defense, Sampson with the coaching, and then they're kind of missing sort of a go-to guy, a playmaker that can get buckets late. They have that now in Cryer.
Yep.
So I think Houston's right there. I would probably put them right behind Auburn and Florida in terms of trust. Auburn and Florida just wire to wire all season long. Complete teams, tough teams, well-coached teams. Florida's hotter right now. I think Auburn's a little better. And then Duke, as I mentioned. So I didn't go this route in my bracket, Tay, all chalk with 1 seeds.
Yeah.
But I like all 4 of these 1 seeds.
I'm right there with you. I didn't go that way either. I got some other guys sneaking in there, but I'm with you. It was tough. I was looking at this bracket and I was like, man, but this one seed, like they're really good.
They are.
And
good.
so it made me question, like, man, can one of these darlings, one of these Cinderellas, really knock off, one of these 1 seeds? And there's probably 1 or 2 where I'm like, yeah. Maybe they could.
Yeah.
Duke makes me nervous, like you said, because of Cooper Flagg's health and all this other stuff. I think Houston always makes me nervous just because of the offensive side of the basketball, which they have not been great at over the years and years and years that they've had. They've been a great defensive team, offensive team slouching a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that can always hurt you in a 1-game elimination type of tournament. So I know last year, years before that, Final Four, Elite Eight, all this other stuff, appearances, but this year's team ain't last year's team,
That's
dog.
right.
Every year is a new opportunity, a new team, a new 1 game. 1 game is all it comes down to. But, yeah, I want to know what Cinderellas you think are kind of going to be dancing here around in a little bit.
As you know, it always goes back to gambling for me.
Hey, as it should.
There was one team I bet on in their conference tournament that played really well, and I saw them beat some really good teams on the way to winning their conference tournament, and that's a CAA, and that's UNC Wilmington.
Okay.
And that is a very athletic team. What worries me
Against
little,
Texas Tech. Yep.
Texas Tech is one of the best offensive teams in the country.
Yeah.
They're kind of like a poor man's Alabama in the SEC. Alabama can score like an NBA team, but they also play defense like the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
Okay? So, like, in other words, they don't.
Right.
They don't play defense, but they can outscore you. Texas Tech, there's a little bit of that there, too. High-scoring team, not great on the defensive end. UNC Wilmington is a very athletic team.
Yeah.
They're a senior-laden team, which makes me feel like they're not going to be, the moment's not too big. So I think that's one I have my eye on. I made money betting on UNC Wilmington. I'm considered taking at least the points because they're big underdogs in that.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be shocked if maybe they go with an outright upset there. But that's pretty much it in terms of Cinderella. What I did, I'll give you my Final Four because there's a couple in there.
Okay.
So I go Auburn and Florida, who I already told you is chalky.
Yeah.
But I just trust them the most because I've watched them so much.
Okay.
Here are 2. I'm going to go BYU and UCLA on the other side.
Wow.
Those are my Cinderellas.
BYU.
BYU simply because I just watched them in the last month of the season.
Yeah.
Go on the road and take down giants after giant after giant. And I was like, man, this team is feisty. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to be funny here, but them BYU kids are a little bit older.
Yeah.
They've been in college a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I think experience matters. I think the moment not being too big on this stage, and that's a team that has already, now it's regular season, but they've already rattled off a bunch of wins, feeling good, getting that momentum. I think they could do it in a bracket scenario. And then I like UCLA. You and I have talked about them all year. You've told me you like Cronin.
Yeah.
You like the defense that the Bruins play. You don't trust the offense.
That's where they lose me.
In their bracket, though, I don't see a lot of teams that can just necessarily out-offense them. I see them slugging it out with all these teams. Yeah. They can slow down Tennessee. That's
what you knew I was going to go there.
Yeah, they can slow them down.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they get to Houston, how does Houston play? We just talked about it.
Right.
Defense. They can out-defense. I like Cronin and that experience on that side of the bracket.
Yeah.
So those are sort of my Cinderellas, I guess. BYU and UCLA. I have them both in the Final Four.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to roll with Drake. Drake?
You knew I had to do it.
I knew you had to do it. Drake's a great team. Look, the thing about Drake is that, one, their coach is a winner. Everyone's been talking about this. He's won at every single level he's been at. He's won like 12, 11 straight conference championships or whatever in every conference that he's been in. He's got a team that plays defense and causes turnovers. If you can cause turnovers in March and then on the other end score off of those turnovers, you're a team that has upset written all over you. Cinderella. They need to write a child book about you. Drake is one of those teams. I haven't been so high on Mizzou all year. I'm going to be honest. I haven't been that high on them. But Drake is one of those teams where you could look at the end of March and we could be like, dang, Drake made it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I could see that.
Drake did that. Like, that was, I don't remember that. That was crazy.
I could see that.
And they could be one of those teams. So I'm really high on them. There's a lot of other teams that I'm high on that didn't get as nice of bids. I'm high on Yale. I'm a little nervous about Texas A&M, but Texas A&M has been kind of a little bit down recently. Yale is a team that, can really, really play. I remember Fran Fraschilla telling us about Yale. And his feelings about Yale. So he even agrees that Yale is a good team.
Yeah.
I have a great upset matchup in the round of 32.
I'll bet on it. Give it to me.
UC San Diego versus Yale. I think Michigan is going down in the first round. Sorry, Danny Wolf. You will not be playing against your former team. This is going to be one of those matchups that everybody's going to talk about. Like, what? 12-13? That's how I feel. So those are a couple of my Cinderellas that I see making some big noise.
All right, who do you got in the title game? I'm going to go Florida beating UCLA. I just think Florida top to bottom. As I said, them and Auburn all year long. I got to give them credit. They have been consistent. They have been consistently really good. Not dominant like UConn we saw, last few years, but very solid, complete teams, offense, defense, well coached. Florida's hotter, so I'm going to ride that. I'm going to go Florida beating UCLA in a really interesting, high-rated, those are two big college brands, period, not just basketball. I mean, UCLA and Florida, you also got the football aspect. Those are just big college brands. Yep. I'm going to go Gators over the Bruins for the title game.
Wow, Gators over the Bruins for the title game.
Yep.
You got some homer in you.
That's March Madness.
I'm doing a little chalky right now. I can't lie. I am a little nervous about Duke, but then as I roll through, I'm like, Arizona's not beating them. No. Baylor's not beating them. You know what I mean? And then I got BYU there. I got BYU to that Elite Eight.
Matchup.
I saw that matchup, and I think Cooper Flagg will be healthy and ready to go by then, and fully healthy. He's obviously playing in the full tournament with however long Duke goes, but I just think he'll be fully healthy, ready to go. So I got Duke getting in there.
Okay.
I got Tennessee beating Houston. In the Elite Eight, going to the Final Four. So I think this is a Rick Barnes year. It feels like this team, who is a really smart, heady team, is going to have the opportunity to play for a national championship possibly. And then I got Florida and Auburn on the opposite side as well. But I got Drake. Going to the Elite Eight. I got Drake going. I'm rolling with Drake, dog, in the Elite Eight. And Izzo's also getting the opportunity. I trust Tom Izzo. This Michigan State team feels like it has some story about it, some oomph about it. I think they're going to Elite Eight and losing to Auburn as well. So Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Tennessee. It feels like what it's going to be for me.
I'll just leave you with this. If I had just $1, for every year I said, this feels like a Rick Barnes year, I wouldn't even be hosting Hold My Banner right now. I'd be on a beach with an umbrella in my drink.
And that's the thing about me, Travis. I've never been the guy to say it's going to be a Rick Barnes year. And this is my first time.
It's your first time.
Being like, I feel like this Rick Barnes team has something to them. Yeah. So Tennessee's been hooping, dog.
Yeah,
They've been hooping, dog.
They have.
So, I'm rolling with Tennessee, and I got Duke and Auburn in the national championship game.
And you like Auburn.
With Auburn taking it. Shout out to, them and War Eagle and all that.